Shut up and sit down.
Hello, I'm Bill Webb. Welcome to the Quarterback Room, powered by Sports One. Our guest today is one of the brightest young high school head coaches in America. He's the head football coach at Carroll Senior High School in Southlake, Texas, a perennial national high school football power. His celebrated playing career as a high school quarterback, where he played for his father, Todd Dodge, was highlighted by a 2006 state championship, playing for the very team he coaches now. He went on to play in college before beginning the fast track to becoming a head coach. He served as a graduate assistant at Texas A&M and then an assistant coach at the University of Texas. After a couple of stops as a coordinator in Texas high schools, at 29 he returned home where he became the leader of the storied Carroll Dragon football program in 2019. Heading into his second season, he's known as an innovative offensive mind and as a quarterback guru in his own right. Riley Dodge, welcome to the Quarterback Room.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Let's start with a little stroll down memory lane, if you don't mind. You were one of the most celebrated quarterbacks in Texas high school history, played for one of the most legendary coaches in Texas high school history, at one of the most prolific high school programs in America. How much does that set the stage for where you are today at your age?
I think it has a lot to do with it. Just like you said, playing for a storied program when you're, growing up, 15, 18 years old, and, also playing the quarterback position, and you feel a lot of the pressure, as the quarterback, probably not, it really doesn't matter if you're at Carroll or wherever, when you're playing quarterback, you feel it. And, I think that playing here at Southlake Carroll and then, being a coach's kid on top of that really prepared me to play the position, but, it also prepared me for life and the career path I chose.
Did you know you wanted to be a coach?
I did. I knew at a young age. It's just something that I latched onto really quickly. My dad's a long-time high school football coach, spent some time in college as well, and so I just grew up in the field house, and that's the only thing I knew. And I love the coaching staff and players, and that's something I always want to be a part of.
You could have likely chosen your coaching career in college, but you decided to take a different route. What is it about high school football that draws you to that?
Yeah, right when I got done playing, I had a couple of different opportunities, high school and college, and very blessed with those opportunities and different connections that I've built over the last several years, and just as a player and a young guy. I thought that early on that I wanted, to hop into college football, and that's exactly what I did. I went and worked for Kevin Sumlin on his first staff, and then got an opportunity to be on Coach Brown's last staff at University of Texas. Man, that's kind of where I learned football. I thought I knew everything playing the quarterback position, but those were valuable years for me. I spent about 5 years in the college ranks, and something that I think that maybe down the road, I think that I could see myself back in college football, but I'm a product of high school football. My dad's a longtime high school football coach, like I said earlier, and that's kind of what I've been around my whole life, is 15, 18-year-old kids, and I think that's more my cup of tea, and I think I have a way of connecting with kids, and it's something that I wanted to be a part of.
You played for your father twice, in high school and then again in college. How much of his coaching philosophy do you carry with you today?
A lot. I think that once I get done with my playing days and hop into the coaching ranks, you kind of sit back and look at the blueprint of things that we were able to accomplish here at Carroll, and not just at Carroll, but at other places like Newman Smith, Cameron Yo in Central Texas, and Keller Foster Ridge, and even earlier in his career when he was at University of North Texas back in the mid-'90s. I think that I look back and look at the blueprint and success that himself and his coaching staffs were able to have, and the teams that they had, and you look back and look at those blueprints, and I think that it was very successful, obviously, and not taking a lot from my dad, obviously, but I've taken a lot from a lot of different coaches, guys on his coaching staff, and guys I work for at University of Texas and at Texas A&M.
So sons don't always listen to their dads. In your situation, you were kind of in that situation where you didn't have a lot of choice. Was it tough playing for your dad? Were you a good athlete? Were you a good son? How difficult was it to do what you were told to do in those situations?
Yeah, I think that we had our good days and bad days. But I always look forward. I think the reason I look forward to playing for my dad so much is I was the ball boy on the sidelines with, and all the stops that we had in his career. And I just wanted to play for my dad. I wanted to be on the varsity football team. Those are the guys I looked up to. It wasn't, obviously I looked up to, Troy Aikmans of the world and whatnot, but I really looked up to my dad's football players. And so I look forward to the day that I got an opportunity to go play for my dad. And it was a very, storybook situation that we got to, live in high school and when I was in high school. And, I cherish those memories. And it was something, I think if you talk to any coach's kid, it's something that they always look back on. And it was amazing experience.
It hasn't been that long since you played back in 2007. Has the game changed, especially at the quarterback position, since you graduated from high school?
Yeah, I think it has. I think that I was an undersized quarterback. I think I came out at the wrong time. Guys that were 5'11" weren't getting the opportunities that they're getting nowadays. And I think it's changed with what you're seeing in offensive football, but I think it's also changed the quarterback position what you're seeing on the defensive side of football. So, a lot of things that we do at Carroll, I don't know necessarily it's revolutionary, but what we hone in a lot with our quarterbacks is defensive recognition and how we attack defenses, and I want our guys to be educated on how defenses attack offenses and whatnot, just so we can give those kids the best chance to be successful on a Thursday or Friday night.
As you mentioned, size-wise, you weren't exactly the prototypical quarterback, but how do you think size matters at high school and then even into the college and pros? I mean, there's some guys making it now that aren't exactly, physical specimens.
It matters to a certain extent.
Does that matter these days?
When you're an undersized guy, the Kyle Murrays of the world, I think you have to have a special skill set when you are that size. I wouldn't say I had the biggest arm in the world, but I was an athletic guy. I could really extend plays, and I would say I was back in my playing days, I was a true dual threat. Not now. I actually pulled my calf muscle going on a jog the other day. But I think when you are, you live in that 5'10" to 6'1" world, 6 foot world, I think that you have to have a special skill set as a runner, or you just have to have a massive arm. But I don't think it's obviously height does help, I think, but when you have some characteristics about yourself that separate you from maybe the bigger guys, I think that's what is intriguing to college coaches, a guy that can extend plays when, believe it or not, us offensive guys, we don't call it the perfect play every time. So when you have a quarterback that can extend and create outside the offense, that makes everybody look better. So I think those guys that are a little bit undersized, if they can have that type of skill set, I definitely think it helps them out.
Who was the best quarterback you were around, or as a player, or even coached in your days as a college coach?
Yeah, I got to be around some. I think I got to be around some special ones. Even back when I was in high school and played behind a couple of guys. Chase Daniel, who's still in the league, played at Missouri, was up for a Heisman Trophy. Greg McElroy, who's a journeyman here at Southlake, Carroll, and got his opportunity as a senior, and then went on to Alabama and kind of rest of history, won national championship at Alabama. I got to see Johnny Manziel at A&M. I think probably the most special guy I've ever been around was probably Johnny. I wish his career went a different path, but I was at Texas A&M kind of at the right time. I walked in the door when he was a redshirt freshman when no one really knew who Johnny Manziel was, and we gave him the keys to the car that first year, and our first year in the SEC, and he took off, and rest is history. He won the Heisman Trophy, and I think some of the things that I saw him, and talking about undersized quarterback, some of the things that we saw during practice and spring ball, fall camp, a lot of people didn't see was unbelievable. There was really nothing the kid could do from a mechanical standpoint to just his God-gifted ability. I haven't been around a guy like that just with what he brought every Saturday. And I think on top of it, what a lot of people don't talk about with Johnny was you always knew you had a chance when he stepped on the field. He was the ultimate competitor. He brought it every Saturday, and you knew that he was going to give everything he had for our football team in A&M. But he was definitely a special talent.
You talk about special. You've got a pretty special quarterback at Carroll right now. Quinn Ellis is a sophomore and already is projected by ESPN as the top player overall, not just the top quarterback, but the top player overall in the 2023 class. What makes him so special?
Yeah, I think that obviously God gave him a lot of abilities. He's a very athletic kid. He's got one of the biggest arms I've been around, and I think the thing that he's still growing. You ask him, and we still got a lot to work on, but he's a special one. And I think with every great quarterback, they have to have that it. And I think everybody's it's a little bit different. But the one thing that with a quarterback, I think the really elite ones are really comfortable in their own skin, in a good way. That they understand their surroundings, but they're really good with people, but they also understand that at the end of the day that I kind of drive the ship of this program. I drive the ship of this offense, and but he's a kid that really doesn't necessarily. I think he cares, but at the end of the day, doesn't necessarily care with outside world things. And I think that's a good thing. As a quarterback, you have to be thick-skinned. You have to have short-term memory. I think those are things that he has. At a high level, and that's something you have to play this position. You have to have short-term memory, and you have to be thick-skinned.
You're his head coach, but you're also a mentor to him. I'm curious, how do you walk that fine line? How do you counsel someone like him between, that point of being humble, but having kind of the gunfighter cockiness that you need to really take it to the next level? How do you manage that?
Yeah, you nailed it. I think that with all quarterbacks, you kind of have to teeter on that line a little bit, right? So I was the same way. I didn't have the skill set that he has as a passer, but the way I talked to him was like you said. I'm not too far removed. I'm 31 years old, and so we have a unique personality where I can speak on experience, play. I think the thing that I can bring to him and any other quarterback that we have in the upcoming years is that I wore the same jersey and the same helmet that they're currently wearing. So I understand the pressures of playing quarterback in this town and for this program. And the way I tell them is, you want to be even keel. You want to be the calm within the storm on every Friday night and every practice when things are going nuts, because the football game is very rocky. You want to be that. The captain's the ship that's steering us in the right direction. But I think at the same time, the way I tell him is, when I was a player, and I think he has this a lot in him too, where I always had that kind of, I think Michael Jordan said the other night on that documentary was, when people leave the stadium, I always wanted them to say, that might be the greatest high school quarterback I ever seen, and internally, I wanted to put a show on, and that's the things that I talked to him about within playing and within the confines of our offense. And I think that's something that he did as a sophomore, and I think that's going to grow as going to his junior year. But I think you have to have that little bit of edge, a little bit of swagger about you to play this position, because you do touch the ball 100% of the time. There's going to be some really good things that happen to you during the game. There's going to be things that adversity hits you. It's all about how you react to it. And, I just tell them, when someone walks out of the stadium, gets in their car, what are they going to say about you? And so I think that that's something he really grabs onto.
There are a lot of 6th, 7th, 8th graders out there that want to grow up to be Quinn Ellis or any other really, great high school quarterback. What are the 2 or 3 things you would tell them to stay focused on as they're trying to get to that level?
Yeah, I think that, playing quarterback, I think, we get antsy nowadays with, and I think everybody is foot on the gas pedal trying to find that next great one when they're 13 years old. I would say playing quarterback, you got to be the hardest worker in the room. And if you want to play quarterback, it's a commitment. But I tell quarterbacks all the time, it's the greatest position in all sports. I touch the ball 100% of the time. I got the keys to the car, and that's what you want. But I would say work on your craft. I think with young quarterbacks, obviously work on my mechanics, but my feet, my lower body, really takes me to where I want to go as a quarterback, and just always trying to redefine and sharpen my craft, but never get. I think Greg McElroy is a great example. I tell young quarterbacks about him all the time. He was a freshman B team player, he was a JV B team player, and he's a backup for Chase Daniel, and he was a 1-year starter at Southlake Carroll. And he all of his hard work paid off, and he got a full ride scholarship to Alabama, and then went to win a national championship at Alabama, and it all paid off. But it was about his hard work, and he never panicked. And I think sometimes when things don't happen right away for young quarterbacks, we go to a new position or we get scared of competition. And that's one thing I would tell young quarterbacks: never be scared of competition. Always work on yourself, work on your craft, but you're always going to have competition in front of you. It's about how you respond to it.
We talk about leadership, and in the real world, leadership is really earned. You can't, assign it. How much does, a quarterback, especially a young quarterback's ability to lead those other people around him, how much more effective or ineffective does that make him?
I think that leadership is a huge part of playing the position, just because I'm a firm believer. I talk to our quarterbacks all the time. You are the program, and that's not trying to put pressure on them. It's a great responsibility. I think at any level, from the high school level all the way to the NFL, when you win a football game, the quarterback's picture's probably on the front page. If you lose a football game, quarterback's picture's probably on the front page. So I think that you have to build, as a quarterback, you have to build the intangibles, the leadership intangibles about yourself. Because I've seen a lot of great quarterbacks, guys with a skill set that a lot of us would die for, but they were just missing that piece, leadership on maybe how they worked out or how they led. They lead by example. They talk out the side of their mouth, and that's something that I think that some people think that leadership, you're just born with it. I don't think that's true at all. I think some maybe have maybe bigger personalities than others, but I think leadership is something that's practiced, and you got to put yourself out there and get outside your comfort zone, just like practicing a power clean and working on your technique. It's something you got to work out as a leader, as playing quarterback, and stepping out in front of your peers and putting yourself out there and being that vocal guy. And I think being a quarterback, I just don't agree with lead by the example. You also have to be the vocal leader of the football team. That's something that we work on all the time with our quarterbacks.
Well, we talk about skills, and physical skills are obviously important. And today, that ability to extend the play has become, a real positive trait, especially at the NFL level. Is that something you can train and teach, or did or quarterbacks just have that?
I think, yes, we do. We do, Bill. We do work it. Obviously, we want to work our craft inside the pocket. And like we talked about earlier, I want to stay within the confines of the offense and the pass game. But I'm going to call it that play. And it's about the quarterback creating for our offense and creating within the system and making a play for us and moving the chains. So we do rep it. We have several different drills to work their feet and get outside the pocket. And one thing we do work, being accurate when I'm off platform. And I think that's something that you see a lot on Saturday evenings in college football, and you see it in the NFL. So that's something we do work on. I think it comes naturally to some quarterbacks, more than others. But I think it's something that you have to work nowadays. Because I would say you're going to play in a clean pocket maybe 10% of the time, on a given night. And so you got a lot of bullets flying around, so you got to be able to improvise and create with your feet, and also stay a passer. So we definitely do work on that.
We talk all the time about trying, helping a quarterback be comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Yes, absolutely.
So for every team, for every Quinn Ewers, for every starter, there's 2, 3, 4, 5 that you have to work with. They don't get the reps, as many reps in practice. They maybe don't get as much love from everybody else around the program. What's your philosophy for making sure your backup quarterbacks are ready if and when the time comes? Because there's a lot of kids that get up every day and face that.
No, absolutely. I've been there. Probably the greatest thing that I ever heard in a quarterback room was when I was at the University of Texas. I was working for Sean Watson. He was the offense coordinator for Charlie Strong our first year when Charlie came in. And he told me, he goes, Riley, who's the most important person in our program? I said, the quarterback. He goes, which quarterback? I said, the starting quarterback. He goes, no, it is the backup quarterback. The backup quarterback is the most important person in this program, because it's just like what you said. I think a lot of people, we put our blinders on, especially at the high school level, because you just don't have the numbers or the support system on your coaching staff that you do at the college and NFL level. And I think sometimes we get the blinders on and we put all of our focus and all of our energy into the starting quarterback. You got to put a lot of energy into that guy, no doubt about it. But that backup quarterback's got to be ready to go, and he's got to be on the same wavelength, as you as a play caller and as a starter. And you got to make sure that you're getting this kid ready to go when, heaven forbid there's an injury or to close out a game or whatever it may be, a helmet malfunction, you got to put him in the game. And you want to make sure you put that kid in the best situation possible. And you want to put your offense and your football program in the best situation possible to hopefully not skip a beat, And so we spend a lot of time with our backups or our backup and the rest of the guys that maybe not play on Friday night to make sure we're doing what is necessary to get them ready when their name is called.
You talked about playing behind Gregilroy at Carroll, who went on to Alabama. Carroll's sort of known for maybe you don't get your chance till your senior year, but you got to get on the field and help some way. What's your philosophy about getting, a quarterback who may be a great athlete, just getting him on the field somewhere to contribute?
Yeah, we're going to put, we're going to put the best guys out there to win a football game. And sometimes your backup quarterback might be one of your better athletes, and we don't want him, holding a clipboard. I was one of those guys as a sophomore. Me and Greg split a little time at quarterback when he was a senior and I was a sophomore. But when I wasn't playing quarterback, I was playing wide receiver, and it's something that was really valuable for me going into my junior year as a full-time starter, just because I played under the Friday Night Lights, and I got to see the vantage point of playing wide receiver and what they were seeing as well, and it made me a better quarterback. And so if we have a guy in the room that is more than capable than playing another position that's an underclassman, then we will definitely put him out there. And we were able to do it. It's kind of you have to be careful, I think, too, sometimes, because like I said, that backup quarterback is the most important person to your program. So you want to make sure that kid stays healthy. And so, but you can't coach scared, play scared. And I understand that. And we had a situation, last 2 years with really our backup was Blake Smith, and Blake was he's a quarterback his entire career. And we started working more 11 personnel when we moved Blake to tight end. And but he was still our backup quarterback, and Blake went off to play. He's going to play tight end at Texas A&M, and it really worked out for him. He's really highly recruited kid at that position, and I think that's more of his natural position at the end of the day. But he was a really good, solid quarterback. But that's a kid in our program that we didn't want just holding a clipboard. We needed him on the field to make us better.
A couple of last questions. One, high school football and college football now, for that matter, is littered with quarterbacks who transfer somewhere else because they try to project down the line and think they might not be the starter. You've already talked about, not being afraid of competition. What's your advice to that kid or their parents who look down the road and think, man, there's just too many quarterbacks here?
Yeah, I think, it's the nature of the position you play. And I tell the guys all the time, there's only one, right? Whatever offense you play in and offense we play in, we're going to play with 4 receivers the majority of the time. And, if you want to play wide receivers, there's 4 opportunities for it. But at the quarterback position, there's one. And what I say too is like, if you're in the high school level or going to play college football, that they're always looking for the next person to replace you. And that should always be a burning desire for you. But don't run away from competition. I think that's a bad precedent to start. And if you're scared of competition, then probably the position of quarterback is probably the wrong one to play, because you're all, whatever level you're at, there's going to be someone that you're competing with or trying to take your spot. So I think at a young age we got to teach our young quarterbacks that they got to earn everything they get. It's not just going to be handed to them.
We know athletes are visual learners. They need to see examples often. If you were going to pull up a video from your phone of the best quarterback in football today, who would that quarterback be in your mind?
Ooh, there's some really good ones. I'm a big fan of Aaron Rodgers. Just kind of talking about, how he creates, how he operates inside their offense, but also how he creates outside the offense. But also he's a very, very accurate quarterback. And I think that's the first thing that I look for. I think Drew Brees is another one. The first thing I'm looking for, obviously, is I want a kid that's going to be the leader. But the first thing we got to look for, if we're being honest with ourselves, we got to find an accurate passer. We want to find an accurate passer in those 2 guys, like a lot of guys in the NFL are. But Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's one of those guys that you turn on TV on Sundays or watch film on him. You just watch him throw all day, and it's effortless. But what I really like watching how Aaron throws the football is just watching his feet and how they work, and how he can really throw from some awkward platforms and still be one of the most elite passers in the NFL, especially his age right now.
We see, quarterbacks drop down and throw sidearm, and we've seen Aaron Rodgers throw from some very unusual arm angles. Is there one way to play quarterback, or are there a lot of different ways to play quarterback?
There's a lot of different ways. I mean, you watch the really good ones in college, you watch all the guys in the NFL, everybody looks different, right? Everybody's arm swings a little bit different. And I know you said you've had some different guys on here. I think that obviously you can work with mechanics. There's no doubt about it. You sharpen their upper half. But I think if you watch some of the really, really good ones, their feet, do all the decision making for them and really takes their arm where they want to go. But I think the really good ones like Aaron Rodgers can go on, and Patrick Mahomes of the world that do some really freaky things with their arm slots. I think sometimes it's more of a feel thing for those guys and how they can deliver the ball and get the ball around defenders. But I think it can look different in a lot of different ways. But I think that there are different things that you have to, kind of non-negotiables when it comes to playing quarterback. But I think every single quarterback, all of our kids in our room right now, if you watch throw, I think we have some really good young ones too that are coming up the ranks, and they all look different. So, but I think one thing we can all control is what they're doing with their lower half.
Riley Dodge, thanks for joining us in the quarterback room. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
That'll do it for this episode of the Quarterback Room. Thanks for listening. I'm Bill Webb.